this. Phones are on.
Yeah, I'm on silent.
Oh, I'm on. Let me do it. I don't know how.
Here, let me see it.
Okay, let me get out of there. Go back. I've never done the side of it. I just know how to make it quieter.
Well, if you quiet it, I think all the way down, it's yeah. So if you push all the way down, it's silent.
That's all I know. I don't go in there and it's too high speed for me.
Okay. Now, before we get anything started, do you want to water just in case?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody good?
I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Afternoon. This is the interview, the Veterans History Project interview with Mr. Gary Maffioli.
Gary Maffioli.
Today's date is the 5th of March, 2021. We're currently located on 500 Market Street, Steubenville, Ohio, 43952. And Gary, I just need you to provide me with your full name.
Yes, my name is Gary Michael Maffioli.
Okay. Your date of birth.
21 December 1957.
Highest rank achieved.
Staff Sergeant, E6.
Okay. And finally, what wars or conflicts were you a part of?
I was in the Iraq War, the Desert Storm, Desert Shield. It was in the 90s.
Okay.
And after that, I left the military.
Okay. All right. So let's get into the actual interview itself. So to begin with, where were you born?
In Weirton, West Virginia.
Okay. Weirton, West Virginia. How about your parents? What growing up, what did your parents do?
My father died in an accident at a construction site. He lost his life when I was 5 years old. I have a little bit of memory of my father, but not too much. Mother lived to a ripe old age of about 75 to 80 years old. Basically it. I don't have too much memories of a father, but the mother I was pretty close to.
That's good. Now, did you have any siblings?
I have one sister that's older than I am.
Okay. Did she join the military?
No.
All right. And tell me about when you joined. Where did you join out of?
I was temporarily worked at a gas station in Weirton called Rudy Cusick's, and just by coincidence, I guess, an NCO from the military stopped by there, an enlistment NCO, and he gave me a brochure about the military, and I thought about it. I'm at the high school, and I says, well, I don't have any future plans, so I went in, did an interview with the NCOIC of the recruiting office, and they signed me up, and on my 18th or 19th birthday, I was already in the military.
Okay, well, that's pretty straightforward.
Straightforward. I remember it perfectly. And I'll never forget his name. His name was Jesse James.
You know, oddly enough, that's a great name.
It's a great name.
That's a great name.
You can't forget it.
No. Mine was Cody Williams, Staff Sergeant Cody Williams. Mm-hmm. So I do remember my recruiter as well.
Okay.
How did your mother and your sister feel about you joining the service when you did?
Pretty straightforward. Didn't take it so harshly. I had a future at that time. They understood it.
Okay.
At that time, the mill was working, but I didn't want to go to the mill. Weirton Mill.
Understandable.
Didn't want to do construction. Just basically did the high school thing and whatever the future was. I wasn't really prepared for it until the military came to my life, and I was set up in the military after that.
Okay. So let's go into kind of the early service point of things. Mm-hmm. Do you remember basic training?
Yes, very good.
Vividly? I don't think it's something that anyone can forget, is it?
Oh, it was a eye-opening experience.
Okay. Well, let's tell me about that. What was it like?
Cold. It was right after, I joined 19th birthday. It was not signed on my birthday, and then January the 2nd or 3rd, right after the holiday for the New Year's, I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey. And my instructors were, at that time, Hump and Bump was his nickname. This was, he became the NCOIC guard of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Oh, wow.
Raymond T. Massey. That was my first drill sergeant. And I remember that vividly, too.
You know, that's amazing that he went on to do,
yeah.
That's because not only is being a drill sergeant a hard job.
Yeah.
Long hours, but guarding the tomb is also an extremely difficult job.
A lot of respect given to us, and we turned it.
Yeah.
We had an assistant drill sergeant, wasn't that good with us, and we basically showed him. We won Mr. Massey to do that. Okay, Drill Sergeant Hump and Bump was his name.
Okay. So, I mean, I know what basic training is like, but for those out there, what was it like? What did you guys do? What was day one like?
Day one was fast paced, rush, rush, rush. Do this, do that, sign here, go there. Don't really know what's in the future. To after the end of the day, you've had all your stuff in your duffel bag, which is a big bag that you put all your stuff in. You go back to your room, open it up, throw it out on the bed, and start putting it in your closets and stuff. It was just organization. So that was the first day. Never forget it.
Yeah, it is a very unforgettable time. Yeah. So then from there on out, what was the daily life in basic training like?
Early. 4:30, 5 o'clock wake up. You had about 3 seconds to shave, shower, and whatever. And then you go out into your formation and you get marched around the field a couple of times. But this was in January. And the head instructor, NCOIC, came out there with nothing on but his, what do they call this shirt at that time?
BDUs?
No, it was in greens. The old
the fatigues.
Yeah.
Okay.
He came out there with no field jacket or nothing on. We're freezing our butts off out there, and he's marching around like it's not cold at all, and we're freezing. So that was an eye-opening experience too. I thought my words were, "I'm going to die here." That's all there is to it. I'm going to die here.
Yeah.
And they marched us around to this old place, and we started running around. We got warmer, and after that, it was okay.
How long was your basic training?
I guess it was 6 weeks.
6? Okay. That's what Air Force was six and a
Yeah.
half, something like that. Anything particular that you remember? I mean, shocking, crazy, any good stories from basic that you have?
Dining facility stories.
Okay, let's hear it.
After you go in and you eat, then a couple of the guys come out and they sort of like lose what they ate because it didn't taste that good. That was kind of an eye-opener, something that'll burn in my head there. They had a little place off the side of the door, the exit. After you went outside, a couple of people sort of like lost their food, their appetite there after that. And then after that, we'd go into, if you had any spare time, you'd do exercise. That was what they called spare time.
Yeah. It's not as much fun as it sounds.
you got time in your hand, go do some exercise.
Right. Push-ups, pull-ups, whatever they can have you do.
Yeah.
So do you remember what graduation was like when you graduated from basic training? How was that?
Very exciting. A good feel. Very, very emotional.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, because you've accomplished something. I guess to use the words overweight, I went in at overweight and I came out underweight, so I was pretty good.
That's awesome.
They took a lot of weight off me. It disciplined me.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that's one of the big intentions of basic training in itself. So after basic training, what happens next?
Well, then you go to your AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training. Was at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. I joined the military as a 52 Bravo, which means I was a power generator operator mechanic. No, just power generator operator at that time.
Okay.
The mechanic came in later, about 6-7 months. I was in my first duty assignment. The military changed MOSs and combined 62 Bravo into 56 Delta. That was my MOS, 56 Delta.
Okay.
And they said, we don't have 56 Deltas anymore. We're going to make you a 63B. So without ever learning how to work on a vehicle, I was now a mechanic in 1978.
Okay. Where was your first duty station after AIT?
Fort Stewart.
Or you know what? Let me backpedal for a second. Were there any experiences in AIT that you found to be noteworthy or interesting?
No, very, very laid back, easy. You learned what you had to do. You at that time it was 52 Bravo or generator mechanic, generator operator. You just learned all about generators. It was laid back and good.
Oh wow,
good.
So yeah, it was different for us. We were like, it was really kind of in your face when I went through our version of AIT. No. It was like an extension of basic training. That's what they tried to make it be, but that happens. Let's see. Was there any other trainings that you attended while you were in?
Any other training?
Yeah. Jump school.
At that time, no. I wanted to go to flight warrant officers school, but I didn't make it because of my eyes. I had to have glasses on. They said, no, it's not allowed. And after that, I went to warrant officer school, tried to do that at Aberdeen.
Okay.
I applied. I was approved. I went to Aberdeen from Germany, basically. They sent me
Okay.
from Germany to Aberdeen, and found out because of my leg, they wanted us to do duck walks. And I couldn't do it because my leg was operated on, and I couldn't get down on my knees or do a duck walk. And they said, well, we can't have you as a warrant officer. And I never thought that was really quite logical. I'm going to be a warrant officer and use my mind and brain in order to work in a motor pool, in order to be, with logistics, and I'm supposed to do a duck walk here. What that's got to do with the future? But it was a long story short. I was transferred over to BNOC, and I went to basic non-commissioned officers course for the next advancement of my rate at the time. So I'm on the list for E7, but I never made it to E7.
Okay. Now, did you have to be an NCO to go to a warrant officer school?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so. I never really checked. I can't remember. I didn't even really follow the avenue. I just seen it, and I said that's like something I wanted to do, so I applied for it.
Oh, okay. All right. So what stood out to you about being a warrant officer? What was different than being just an NCO?
Well, as an NCO, you control obviously the soldiers, and as a warrant officer, you're there for strictly logistics management and stuff like that. So you're controlling books and regulations instead of just people and stuff like that. So I was more keen towards reading books and understanding regulations, and trying to find replacement parts or scrounging around. We use that word scrounging as
Okay.
locating, and that's how I took it. I said, it's not that I wouldn't have been a good NCO. I thought I'd have been a better warrant officer.
No, yeah, I understand that completely. I mean, everyone has, different strengths and weaknesses, and it's whatever. That's the beauty of the military, is you have the option to really find yours and make yourself successful in that.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now let's go back to your first assignment. Where'd you go?
That's what the 24th Infantry. It was newly activated at Fort Stewart, Georgia. I was in 78 when I joined the service after the IT. That was an eye-opening experience because I didn't know what was expecting me there. We slept in open barracks, open room barracks. There was no individual barracks at that time, or individual rooms.
Oh, wow.
It was just one big barracks. You had A barracks, B barracks, C barracks. And that was kind of a shock.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be.
Even in basic training, we only had 3 guys to a room, and there I have a whole platoon.
See, that's crazy. So when I went through basic training, it was completely different. It was an open bay. So like what you're experiencing.
Yeah, I'm in first duty assignment now.
Yeah. So yours is open bay there. Mine's basic training. Now, when we get to what we call tech school, we're individual rooms with 2 guys, and then same thing. You move on. I think in the Air Force, you actually get a room to yourself when you get to your first duty station.
Okay.
So that's a big difference. Mm-hmm. So okay, and so you started working as what?
As a generator operator.
Okay, and what'd you do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It was a newly activated company. It was a 24th Infantry Division. They were deactivated after the Second War, and they opened it up again as a rapid deployment. They have Rangers there, and everything was boxed up. Everything was brand new, so there was nothing to do. We just took the equipment out of the boxes and looked at it. We didn't run it because we didn't have no field maneuvers or anything like that. We were just rapid deployment, and we were just newly deactivated. Yeah, so we didn't have anything to do at the start. I wasn't there that long. I got there in one of the summer, and I guess before December, like 6 to 8 months later, I was already in deployment to go to Germany.
Oh wow!
So in that time frame that I was there, Department of the Army sent me a letter that says we're combining the MOSs from 52 to 63. So I go up to the headquarters orderly room and says, "Top First Sergeant, yes, Maffioli, we're giving you this paper. You're now a mechanic. Go down and fix the trucks." I went down in motor pool and I said, "What's a truck?" I come out of AIT fixing or learning about generators, and now I'm a truck mechanic. So that was how I started my service.
Okay. So moving on, obviously you made it to Staff Sergeant.
Yes.
So, I mean, what were promotions like? How did that, and where did you promote? So how long were you at your first duty station?
Very
Let's
short.
go there.
Very short.
Okay. How long?
That was as a PV1.
Okay.
Didn't have nothing on the shoulder.
Right.
After about 6 months or something like that, in duty, I guess you get automatically PV2 or something. So
Okay.
they put that first stripe on there. Captain Prebairn, pinned it on. Got pictures of it somewhere in my files. And then came the orders to go to Germany. And that's what I did. Went to Germany. And I was still a mechanic, reported to the motor pool and told them I don't know anything about trucks. They sent me to the order room. And that's basically where I was in Delta Company 237th Engineers, because I was a generator person in the engineers, but working in a motor pool that I have no knowledge of vehicles.
Right.
Worked at a supply. I worked in a supply room, and that's where I learned logistics. So
Well, that's not bad.
I spent all my time with logistics after that.
Did you enjoy it?
Very much.
Okay.
I wish I could do it today, but need won't let me.
Well, that's unfortunate. And what did you do in the logistics? I mean, not everyone know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the logistics is take care of the company unit level supply system, to include helping people in the motor pool. They call them parts logistical, prescribed load list, anything that the vehicles need to be ordered, anything with logistics.
Okay.
Basic
Ordering
supply,
parts, getting some parts.
ordering supply parts for the order room, for the company level, like that.
Just making sure you guys were prepared for whatever.
And that's where I say we first started learning about military. After my first duty assignment, the second one, I started learning about military procedures. We went to Grafenwehr, Vilsec, and the engineers did basically work. And in my first unit, I didn't really have any work because it was newly activated. So I didn't learn anything there. Second one, I started going to the field, maneuvers, building things, and ordering things, and that's where I learned my military.
So what did you do in the field?
At the logistics point, you sit there, you have your little desk. If someone needs a part or something, or a logistic part, then you look at it in what they call TMs, technical manuals.
Okay.
And you put it on these. In the old days, they didn't have computers where they just read these things out. You had to physically fill out every little data card. It had little pre-punched numbers in there. And that was your unit, and you just filled it out, and it went through this big machine and had to read all this information.
Right.
And in the old days, it wasn't like that.
Okay. I see you're wearing your Desert Storm hat.
Yes.
Did you do some service over there?
I was there. I went there December 17th, 1989. 1990.
Okay.
And I returned 1 year later, of course, for my first daughter's birthday, April. So.
At least you got to make it home for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. What was Desert Storm like?
For us as logistics again, I spent the whole time in my military career as logistics. We were never on the front line. We were always behind the at that time it was Armor Division, and we spent most of the time 10, 15 kilometers behind anyone else. So anytime they advanced and took over positions or fortified area, we just moved up with them. So a direct conflict with any one-on-one fighting like I've never seen or experienced, but we always seen the aftermath. So
yeah,
that's what my experience was in Saudi Arabia.
So it was in Saudi is where you were at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Saudi, and then after they call it Pipeline Road. It's only one road that dissects Saudi Arabia from Iraq. After you go across Pipeline Road or main road, you're coming into Iraq. That's I believe what called Echo. And then we got the marching orders that the ground war started, and we just moved north. What do you call it? Northeast.
Okay.
And then into Kuwait and then downwards.
Okay. Was that during the Kuwaiti liberation? Was that?
I guess that's what it's called.
Okay.
I can't really. I know what exactly what it was, but after we did 3 days, 4 days, 100 hours or something like that.
Oh wow!
That's all it took to the whole war. But after 3 or 4 days, we already got the marching orders to go south, back down to the King Khalid military air base, and basically we was over with. We just started packing up and putting our stuff away and turning it in. I was like, that was it.
This is war.
That was war.
Well, that's not a bad experience to have. I mean, especially when you hear the stories of the guys from Vietnam, and I mean, I had a very similar experience. Experience when I did my time overseas. So back to Germany, right?
Yes.
Okay. How long did you end up spending in Germany during the service?
During the service time. Wow, that's a good question to ask. I say, been almost 16 years in, and the majority of the time spent was all in European commands. I had a great time down in Heidelberg. I was, again, with logistics. I had use for 7th Army vehicles. It was staff vehicles.
Okay.
That's where I basically learned a little bit more German, because I had German civilian mechanics and PLL clerks.
Right.
And I picked up the command of speaking German, and that's how I made my rank a little bit faster. I was working with staff vehicles, officers. One of the experience I had there was General Crozen's. You might remember his car was RPG'd.
Oh, wow.
They had a rocket-propelled grenade went in his car. That was one of our cars, my cars. And I think I got a picture of it somewhere. And that was my first really experience of what's called terrorism. It could have been one of us.
Was that in Germany?
In Germany, right on the Neckar River, in Heidelberg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So did they end up catching the guy who did it?
They called it the Bader-Meinhof gang. Bader-Meinhof. A really known group in Germany for terrorism, especially at that time, 80s.
Okay, is it like, so I know nothing about this. This is all news to me. So was it Middle Eastern terrorists? Was it just German guys who?
German.
Okay. What was their purpose or their role?
Terror.
Just to do, okay.
They did it with, I guess, what Al-Qaeda does with terror and anything like that. Just bringing terror into hearts of people. Political terror. Political.
Oh, wow. Well, that's awful.
Yeah, an awakening experience when you have to go out to your car every day. There was a couple cars that were bombed, explosive devices, and you're sitting there and you don't know if you're going to go up or not because we didn't have protective barriers around the civilian places where we lived at.
Right.
So every day you sort of like close your eyes. You're like, okay, I guess I'm good. So off to work I go.
So that's where the bombing was then. It was off station?
It was also, it was on Campbell Barracks, which was headquarters.
Okay.
USRA was on. The RPG was on the Neckar in downtown Heidelberg, on the main road in downtown, next to the river. The third one was on Frankfurt. Mine had a bombing or two, I believe. At least one. I don't know if I had two, but Frankfurt and a couple other places around Germany, military places.
That's really crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd never knew any of that.
Wow.
What was... you were logistics, right?
Yes.
And I can't say the names of the places that you've been, but what was the mission of the bases that you were at?
Well, the 24th Infantry Division was there for rapid deployment. We were activated at that time in 78, 79 when I was there as a brand new base opened up again or reactivated again, the 24th
right.
Infantry. And we were put on alert for in Africa. There was Idi Amin. He was one of the African warlords that basically was killing his own people and mutilating them stuff. So we were put on alert for that, but we never deployed. We were ready on an airfield in Savannah, ready to be deployed, but we never went.
Okay.
That was the first almost near experience to wartime. But after that, it was pretty good. And I came into the German country, and that's when I started with the engineers. Then came back to Fort Stewart, Georgia. My second duty assignment was Fort Stewart, Georgia, this time in Signal. And
what are they doing in Signal Battalion?
Communication, cyber, and all that good.
Okay.
That was there. I was still in the motor pool. I wasn't doing anything like that, but that's what
right.
did. Yeah. So they communicate with divisions, logistics, and stuff like that, or whatever. Brigades, different, and that was their job was signal.
Okay.
I can't go into because I don't know, basically.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean,
but you can assume that there was something that I shouldn't have known, anyways. Because I was that time. I was your security clearance. I was like 0 at the time. So not till I got up into the logistics higher into the USRA with the general officer's vehicle and stuff like that. It came a secret clearance, but that was about it. Then we had to go to different places that should not be known about in Germany. That I required secret clearance.
Yeah. So for us, my job was a flight line maintenance. We all required secret clearance. So as we go through tech school or AIT for you guys, it would be immediately they start our clearance. Yes. And so that's something we always had. Now that was going to be my next question. I don't know anything about Army bases.
Uh-huh.
Do they all have a flight? Like obviously all Air Force bases are going to have a flight line. They're going to have air operations. Do all Army bases have a flight line of some sort?
Not necessarily bases, but they have capabilities for not fixed wing, but rotor.
Okay,
Everyone has a rotor. Everyone's capable of that. Even that little place I had in Germany was called Monteith Barracks. Very nice place. In fact, if anything happened to me, I'd like to be laid to rest at Monteith Barracks. It was my home right now.
Okay, well, when you get a copy of this, make sure that they hear this part, and
Yes,
then, yeah.
because I'm going to make that sure, because everyone knows me on my Facebook that I am a supporter of the Monteith Barracks.
Okay.
Lovely place. And they had a runway there from the wartime, but they had fixed-wing airplanes, but not that large. They have a place called Illisheim, fixed-wing and rotary, but not what your question was, does every military place? No, not everyone.
Okay.
Just basically landing platforms, something like that.
Okay. So they don't have a full flight line operation, just the ability to land there
Yeah,
in some
yeah.
places. Other places, they have everything. Okay. So as you were talking, I'm thinking back to Germany again. And obviously, World War II
Yes.
in Germany, it's kind of a contentious thing.
Yes.
Kind of happened there.
Yes.
So my question would be, what are the Germans people, or how do the German people react to Americans?
I learned a lot about the culture that what we learned in the States as a child growing up in high school wasn't really the truth that they were telling us about use the word Nazis.
Okay.
Not everyone in Germany is a Nazi.
Okay.
They only had to follow what their boss was saying. If not, they would be killed or their families would be threatened for death if they went against the system. So not everyone in Germany at that time was Nazis. Only the people that wanted to be were Nazis.
Right.
And if you had a choice, well, you basically didn't have a choice. It's you either with us or you're not here.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned about it. My whole family was persecuted from the Nazis because they were from Polish descent.
Okay.
So father had number on his arm printed, tattooed on his arm, concentration camp. My father's mother had numbers on her arm. That's a lot of my memories from what family was, but they're
Wow.
not with us anymore. They passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that. But still, I mean, yeah, and that's what they do teach us, is that basically everyone in Germany was bad.
Bad at that time. That's the American interpretation of it. Yeah?
Right.
We were trained at in the military. We were trained that, but in the school we learned it. That
Right.
Nazis did this, Nazi that, but it's not that way. It wasn't that way.
So the American people weren't hated. The soldiers, everyone stationed in Germany, they're not hated over there by the German people.
I say it's coming in waves.
Okay.
Yeah, everything changes all the time.
Okay.
There was a time where there was love by the German people because liberation, and then after the GIs came in, you've got your bad people, your good people.
Right.
Not obviously the bad people who's going to leave a larger impersonation on the German people than that. So you've got your rowdies, which as an American in Germany trying to act your age, which is typically 18 to 21 or something like that. Obviously, there's some of the guys that went over extreme and did things they shouldn't have done. And they probably feel bad about it later on. But that's the side of the Germans was like, look at those GIs doing that stuff. Yeah. But it wasn't that bad.
That's at least for me. I did some time in Korea. That was the same experience I had.
Yeah.
The Koreans in general loved the GIs, but obviously the one bad apple will spoil the entire bunch.
Yes.
So that's always interesting to hear.
Yeah.
But okay, so you said you spent 16 years in, right?
15.8.
15. Okay, I'll give you the 16.
Okay, that's what I say too.
Okay,
16.
yeah, I'll give you that. I think it's close enough. What caused you to get out at such a late time? I mean, most guys who spend almost 16 years in, they retire.
Yeah.
So
I say I was in it. I loved it. I wanted to stay in. Sure, it's no problem. But I had a brand new child, went to war in Saudi, and after that I came back. They gave me the option because the base where they call drawdown, my Monteith was closing up, and they said, you look for a job or we send you back to Fort Irwin. I thought, sand? I don't want to go back to the sand. I just come from Saudi. Then I say, okay, I've been in Germany too many times and too many years already. Why would I want to go back to the States? And then started thinking about it. Why should I even want to stay in the military? I have the option of putting in for evaluation of my knee. It's starting to hurt more and more and more. So
Right.
I went for the evaluation and got approved for dismissal from the service. I could have gotten a European out, but it was put in too late. and basically got a discharge from the service under honorable with disability. At that time,
Okay.
10%.
Okay, so was that like a military retirement?
I don't even know if you can. I don't think it's called a retirement.
Okay.
I was just dismissed from the service.
Okay, so never.
I wouldn't use the word retire.
Well, that's
I would've-
however you categorize
I
it.
would have went back in if they called me, I'm sure, but I was retired. I wasn't. I was just disability.
Okay, and you have VA disability now, and you still reside. Well, you're back temporarily,
Right.
As of right now. So your family's going back, or it's still in Germany.
Still in Germany.
So, which is a really cool thing that you've stayed there and
Yeah.
you've maintained American citizenship, correct?
All the time.
So, yeah. Do you have dual citizenship?
No, I was a little bit skeptical on that. I didn't know if I could denounce or renounce my citizenship or have dual citizenship, and I'd lose VA assistance. So,
wow.
So I just said I'll just don't need it because I'm here with my family. My wife's German, so I'm authorized to be in Germany anyways because she's German. So I'm
Okay.
maintaining a household with her. Then I had children there, which is they call it a Grundartikel, which is like your basic rights to be in Germany. I had an Aufenthaltserlaubnis, which is my passport was I could have stayed there forever. They
Oh, wow.
stamped it. I don't have it with me, and
That's very different than the way things are here.
yeah.
So I'm not sure if just because you have a spouse in the States, if they're allowed to stay indefinitely or not. I mean, I don't know anything of the rules on
You
that.
got to apply for it. I'm sure.
I'm sure,
there's
yeah.
a way. Yeah. If you meet the minimum requirements, then you can stay.
Right.
I met all the requirements. So
Right. No, and yeah, so it's completely different. I was just it's an interesting part, most GIs that I know, I won't speak for everybody because obviously I can't do that, but most GIs that I know, they really come back home to the States, they end up back in their hometown and living with their, near family. So it's a really cool thing that you stayed over there and just kind of hung
I
out.
fell in love with it.
Hey.
My heart's in Germany. I mean, I'm born and raised here. Well, I can't even. What means raised? I was till I was 18th birthday, and then I was
Right.
in the military. So, I was brought up in America, but I've lived my life in Germany, and I've got more used to the German ways.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. So back to getting out. So you get out on a medical discharge. Was that was that a bad process? Was that a good process?
Whoa,
Were you upset?
That was a little bit disappointing. Like
Okay.
I say, I was in my greens. I was proud. I did my military time. Walked into Fort Dix, New Jersey, out processing, and the first information was go upstairs, take your uniform off. You're not in the military anymore. And that was kind of, they let me down on that one. I kind of like, where's the pomp and ponder there? What's going on here? It was more like I'm not using any words, but it was kind of a fast thing.
Okay.
Didn't like it.
So wait, they sent you back to the States to discharge you?
No, I had to because I replied late for a European. I didn't have enough time to make a European discharge.
Okay.
So I had to go CONUS. No CONUS. I had to go back to CONUS
Right.
to get out of the military. That was on the 3rd of March, January, February, March, February, and 3rd of February, and I was in the States on 3rd of February, and I got back to Germany on 8th of February, 5 days later.
So out and back.
I wanted to get back.
Okay. And those for those of you who don't know OCONUS, OCONUS is a military term, or CONUS and OCONUS.
Yeah.
Stands for CONUS is continental United States. OCONUS is other than continental United States. So, and yeah, that's pretty much, for the YouTube people out there. Yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy though. I've heard similar stories like when my wife was also active duty.
Okay.
So we were both active duty at the same time. We were both in Korea at the same time. And she had to sign an extension, an enlistment extension, to allow her to go back CONUS after Korea. Or she would have had to stay in Korea for like 7 more months just to get out.
Okay.
It was ridiculous. She had to have a 1-year retainability to get out. So
Okay.
it's weird how some of the military rules work out. Like, I think that a normal civilian would look at that and be like, well, what does it matter?
Yeah.
There's standards and rules that we don't really.
Yeah. I have one story if I'd like to share with you.
I want to hear all your stories.
This was a military story. I just got back to signal unit.
Okay.
My future wife was a PLL clerk in another company. I met her and we got married. She came down on a major European assignment called
Okay.
CENTAG, Central Intelligence Army Group in Germany, which was like the counterpart of USARA headquarters, USARA, 7th Army. So she came on orders, and we went to personnel to see if I can get orders to go back.
Okay.
And the warrant officer there says, no, there's no way because you don't have enough time back there. What do you call it? The moment, the right place at the right time moment. Me and my wife were sitting there. We're kind of disappointed. The general of the base came in, Fort Stewart, started asking people's questions. How were we doing today? I said, well, not so good, sir. Well, tell me about it. And Tony says, my wife just came on orders, and she's going to Europe, and we just got married for like 3 months, and I'm not on orders, and they can't put me on orders. He turned to the warrant officer and he said, why can't he go? Oh, he can go, sir. He can go. We'll get him on there. And that was my best exciting. I get goosebumps about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was awesome. I can never forget that.
Yeah.
And we went to Germany together. So that was my military wife. But after Germany, I came back. She got a divorce. She went her ways, and I went my ways. There was no heartaches. She just wanted to be in the military anymore, and she basically didn't want to be with me because I was staying in the military.
Right.
And we just had irreputable thoughts about being in the military. So you go your way, I go my way.
And that happens.
It happened.
And it's hard, but
Yeah.
something a lot of guys deal with.
Yeah.
A lot of guys.
I don't find it a bad thing. Like I say, we didn't go out on bad terms.
Right, which
It's
is
just-
awesome.
Just it was like we just irreconcilable differences and say like, you don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. You want to be here. I don't want to. I want to go back to Germany. She didn't go. It's just one of those things. We just not irreconcilable.
Yeah, the
I'm
word.
part of difficult with the English word because I've been speaking German for 33 years. So some of the enunciations of some of my English words are very difficult.
Yeah, it's interesting. When we first talked, we talked over the phone, and you could definitely tell you were fresh off the boat essentially.
Right off the boat.
And so yeah, it was awesome. And
The water, still dropping off my shoes. It's terrible.
but let me tell you, your English has come even in the few months how long have you been here? A couple months?
About a month, yeah.
Yeah, so it's come leaps and bounds.
Yeah, I've always spoken English, but after 33 years not using the English words, especially terminology where you want one specific word, and you have to think about it. It jars your memory. What does that mean? What is that word? And I'm having difficulty with that till today. Yeah.
I'm sure that'll continue for a little bit. Okay, so German difference, American difference. And this is nothing military-wise, but do you prefer roundabouts or stop signals? Or traffic
Okay.
signals?
I think roundabouts.
I think roundabouts are a lot easier.
It's logical. Yeah.
Yeah. Stoplights are horrible.
Stoplights are terrible. Yeah.
And you can turn right on red.
Yeah.
All the weird stuff, yeah.
And you're still moving. You don't have to sit there and just wait. So
Right.
You're constantly moving.
Yeah. I just thought I'd get your opinion on stoplights versus roundabouts.
No stoplights.
Yeah, I think I think we should get rid of them. Let me get back into the questions here.
Okay.
So, this is a good one. How did you readjust to civilian life once you were out of the military? Was that hard for you, or was that easy?
I've always adapted and adjusted to every situation.
Okay.
Learned that in the military.
Yeah.
Adapt and adjust.
Yeah. For a lot of guys, it's hard. They say
Yeah.
they can't find a new direction. They can't find a purpose to their lives. So
Right.
a lot of guys have a lot of trouble.
I had
Adapting.
I had a head start because I was speaking German anyways.
Right.
From the time in Germany 2 times before. So I had a head start on staying in Germany because I didn't have to learn what other people would have to learn. I've already knew it.
Right. Again, I'm not being rude, just reading over some questions to make sure I hit them all. So let's see. Did you ever use your GI Bill? Can you do that?
Yes, I used it. Was that VA loan for home? I purchased a home.
That's the VA home loan.
Okay, a
The
GI Bill? No.
GI Bills for education
No.
or certifications.
No.
You want to? We can sign you up.
No.
Okay. No, you're good. No schooling for you.
I'm smart enough.
I know.
I
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree.
I've never looked into it, really, to tell you the truth. I've never looked into it.
Nah, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
So the next question would be, do you still have any friends from the service?
Oh, sure. Facebook.
Okay.
Hundreds.
You keep in touch?
Sure, every
Okay.
day.
So, did you keep in touch with them before Facebook, or did you? Now that you've got Facebook, is when it started back up?
Well, Facebook is, in my days, wasn't Facebook. They didn't have Facebook.
Right.
We had they call it snail mail, where you had to
Yeah.
write people. But Facebook has definitely brought people closer, faster.
Yeah, I love. I still talk to a lot of my buddies today.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice being able to reach out and
Yeah.
say, hey, what's up? How you been? Or happy birthday? Something small.
Yeah.
How about from when you were in Desert Storm? Got any friends from Desert Storm still?
Sure.
Okay.
They're on the same base I was in
Okay.
my Monteith Barracks.
Perfect.
A lot of good friends there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, being that you're in Germany, I don't know if this applies to you, but are there any veterans organizations for Americans over there? Like, is there a Legion over there that you guys go down and sit, drink at the bar and?
No, McDonald's, McDonald's Legion.
Okay.
A couple of the GIs would get around on every Sunday and meet at McDonald's for breakfast and stuff like that.
So they have McDonald's over there?
Sure.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I'm going to sound stupid to all the people out there who are like,
Not promoting anything. It's not a.
no, but yeah.
But that's the way they did. They went there on Sunday, read the Stars and Stripes, and talked GIs.
Okay, you still do that?
They did. They did that. Yeah, I met. Count them on one hand, maybe 5 or 6 times. But,
Okay.
they were older than I was. Yeah. Now I'm older than they are, so they were older than me at that time, and now
Right.
30 years later, they're older than I am. So just sit down and talk.
Yeah. BS a little bit. Reminisce.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Does the Army have reunions? Do you guys do like a
Not reunions. No. I would
Okay,
say
yeah.
that. No.
No. I've never heard of a military.
You get together with a couple of the guys or something. You say,
Yeah.
let's meet here or whatever, but not anything organized. Just,
Yeah,
private organization.
you guys just organize it yourselves and
Yeah.
then meet up, have a few drinks or whatever you end up
Right.
doing. So, all right, the next section is the reflection section of your military service. And the first question they have there is, how did your military service experiences affect your life?
Well, I have to take a long time to formulate the answer on that one.
Take your time. It's your interview.
Wow. Can you repeat the question again?
Sure.
That's going to take a lot to think about. It might be a little bit too difficult to answer in an interview question right now.
That's fine. We can move on if you want to. It says
there's a lot of things that affected my life that I've learned in the military. I'll just answer that way. There's a lot of things in
sure.
military experience that I had that it helped me in a civilian world in order to maintain my life in a correct way and manner. So, military helped me out in a way to forge and form my future.
Okay. So overall positive experience.
Yes.
Would you do it again?
Right now, if I had a good knee, I'd do it tomorrow.
Right.
But
Okay.
I can't.
So positive overall experience.
Yes.
The next one is, what are some life lessons that you learned during your time in service?
Truth, honesty, always stay by the truth. Military way, if you tell the truth now, you don't have to worry about thinking what you told someone in the future. Because if you lie or something like that in the military, someone's going to catch you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't hook and jive in the military. You have to tell it like it is. Yeah, you can make jokes about it, but if someone asks you something, stay by the truth.
Okay. I think that's a good way.
That's my life.
It's a good standard to hold yourself to.
It's my life. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else they got on here for the Library of Congress. Okay, how has your military service impacted your feelings about war and the military in general?
Well, good question.
I think it's a great question.
A great question. I have I've disputed a couple of the decisions that the leaders have made in Congress and in the Capitol. But as a soldier, as a GI, you're supposed to follow your leaders, follow your orders. Not necessarily means that I agreed with them, but I had to follow them.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know other way to answer that. Say like I've always been a soldier. You give me an order, I'll follow it.
Yeah,
and go from there.
So we've been running and I'm going to follow up to that question on my own. So we've been running in basically in the Middle Eastern theater for quite since you were in pretty much
before my grandchild was born.
Exactly. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on this war?
I think it's should end as fast as possible. We've lost too much time, lies, money spent in something that is not really our dispute right now. I don't even think the average American knows what we're doing there.
Right.
So there's not even enough talk about it, and I don't think there's enough support on the civilian side to say, okay, I'll vote for the war or not vote for the war or continuation of the war. It's just been too long. There's no reason, I don't believe. There's nothing that we're doing here right now that would help American interests in that part of the world.
Yeah, and I think you have a very interesting perspective on that, the fact that you were not living in America. I can't agree more that I think it's time that we pull out.
Yes.
I think that, it's time to cut our losses.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes. To think of the people that lost their lives over there is not disrespecting them any, but think of the people that will lose their lives in the future because of nothing. There's no, it's just in my opinion, obviously, that we have no gain. We're not going to win anything from over there right now.
No.
And if we pulled out tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, doesn't matter when, the forces to be will go right back in there anyways.
Yeah.
If we there or not there, they're there right now. So all they're doing is hiding. It's like fighting a ghost. You'll never see a ghost, so you can't fight them. And that's what they are right now. They're fighting ghosts. And you're trying to react to every incident that the Afghans or whatever people are doing. I don't know, say Afghans all nationally, but whoever is trying to ruin American lives, they're going to do it one way or another. That's just the way they've been for hundreds of years, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think about it, especially with the war in Afghanistan. And, when I was in, I had a way different thought on it. But we're fighting an ideology. We're not fighting
an ideology.
We're not fighting a group. We're fighting an ideology.
Yeah.
And then B, the fact is, everyone has tried to take this area over.
Right.
For hundreds of years.
I know that.
The Middle Eastern theater has been a war zone
yes.
for a very long time.
I would say that the European theater is America's sandbox, that we'd like to play our wars out over there instead of on homeland, which is understandable. I understand that side of it.
No doubt.
But if there's a definite reason, go do it. If not, get out of it.
Yeah.
It's like trying to fight in a sandbox. And that's what European theater is a sandbox.
Yeah.
That's where America would rather have their wars played out over there.
And I think that sometimes I wonder if we're so invested at this point, we can't see the forest beyond the trees.
Yeah.
I think that may be some of the issue, and I don't think badly about anybody who's over there. But I do believe that our military leadership may be a little short-sighted at this point. We need to find an end game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time. So is that, and I mean, I know you can't speak for all the German people, but is that the sentiment that you feel from those in Germany or do they even care for that matter?
You have your political groups in Germany too that frown upon military presence in somewhere that they shouldn't be, but it's not openly discussed as much probably as here on news and stuff like that. So you have some people that talk about it, but just really few of them. Don't really interest them. It doesn't interest them.
Really?
Why are we in fighting over there? It's not none of their interest, none of their business. They do have military personnel over there.
As I was going to ask that next.
Yeah, they do have military personnel. They have lost lives over there. So, but they don't understand why their military is there, because they're supporting NATO. NATO is North American Treaty Organization.
Right.
If one has to go, the other has to go also. So, but that's only if it's supported from the. So they call it the European nations.
The EU.
EU.
Okay.
So
back to the more generalized military questions. I know we kind of went a little, and I didn't mean to go political on that. But
that's on the verge of being.
Yeah, I'm not trying to throw out a political ideology. It actually it stemmed from the question. It's just a couple follow-ups. Yeah, so I appreciate you going along that path with me.
I try to be as responsive as I could.
Yeah, I understand completely, and it was perfect. Okay. But it says, what messages would you like to leave for future future generations who will see this interview?
Well, seeing how this is my first interview since 1980, when was that? It's 2004. I only got out in 2003. 2004, I was still there. Wow. Prepared. How would you prepare? I really don't have I haven't formulated any thoughts about that yet.
Okay.
Because this is just my first one right now, so I have to think about what I've been saying, look at my tape and see what's going on, and see what kind of making a recommendation for the future. I can't recommend if I haven't been there before, and this is my first time. So,
Well, from your military experience, what would you want to tell kids? Or from your life experience beyond the military, what kind of advice would you give an 18-year-old kid getting into the world now?
Yeah, eyes open, mouth shut, ears open.
Okay.
Yeah, look, hear, and then ask questions later. Yeah, observe, take into consider everything around your environment. Eyes open, ears open, mouth shut. Just learn.
That is simple but profound.
Simple, yeah, for now it's like just keep quiet, learn, observe. Yeah, as a forward observer or something like that would learn in the military environment. Yeah, eyes open, ears open, mouth shut.
I like that. I'm going to try to implement that more into my life. Doing interviews like this every week, my mouth is open a lot, unfortunately, but I'm going to try to implement that more.
Okay.
So we're coming to the last 4 or 5 questions here.
Okay.
So is there anything that you would like to add? Any stories you'd like to tell me? Anything that you have thought of since we started that you would like to bring in or put into this interview?
If it had something to do with the Veterans Administration, I'd recommend some changes. The discharge procedures, instead of getting kicked out, at least have a little bit of a more ceremonial firing. That's what it
feels
like. I
like.
was fired.
Yeah.
I didn't leave the military. I was fired out of the military. Yeah, but that was much of a letdown. The information that we received upon our discharge was very vague. They said, "Here's your money or compensation. Hit the road, Jack." And I'm like, that's all there is to it. And I didn't have any kind of information about what the VA stood for at that time. So I got out in '93 officially. And with just luck, a friend of the family's, who was also a veteran, asked me a question one day if I'd ever applied for VA. I says, I don't know. What does that mean? He says, I got out, I've got 10%. I said, no, you only get that. You always get that.
Right.
You have to talk to and you have to apply for it. And they didn't tell me that in my out processing. So it took me till 6 years later, in order to start the procedure of going into the associating with the Veterans Administration. And then after I applied for it, it took me 7 years to get, after that, my disability. It took me 7 years, from 1997 to 2004. And that's how long it took.
Man.
So
yeah, that stinks.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the processes of the VA were, well, if it makes you feel any better. Mm-hmm. So like when I got out, we're required to go through, and I always make fun of this because I had the same gripe as you, that it's not enough. You spend 6 weeks of intense training to even become ready,
right?
Or 8 weeks for you guys and 13 weeks for the Marines, but you spend it's an intense process to get in. And then we have a 2-week class to get out.
Yeah.
And it's a mandatory, we call it TAPS. I've heard some guys say that it's mandatory. I've heard others say it's not. For me, it was mandatory. We had to go.
Okay.
And they do talk to you about the VA's rating system and what the VA has to offer you. But other than that, it's just how to write a resume.
Oh, we didn't even get that.
Yeah.
Because you walked into the out processing. You basically tell them, I'm here, and your greens, and a person that I don't think she was in the military. I can't remember. But I just remember the words. Go upstairs, get out of those clothes, you're not in the Army anymore. And I was kind of like shocked at that moment. That would have
been very shocking.
Yeah. And I came back down. She said, you go to that room, you get that room, and your pay worth computed, and how much ever, whatever they gave to me at that time was a large amount. You got to be careful where you walk around. And I went to get my nearest airplane ticket, came home for 3 or 4 days, and then went back to Germany.
Wow.
That was it. That was my experience of where's the pump and flags. We went through a ceremony to get into the military, but
right.
The ceremony to get out was boot out your door.
Yeah, they really forget about you on the way out.
That was a letdown.
Well, I guess there has been an improvement in the process, at least letting us know what we're giving us some idea.
Okay.
And then a lot of guys stay in the area, so they do some job fair at the end. But I moved home.
Okay.
So you moved back to your home.
I moved back to my home.
Yeah, your job fair in
Yeah.
the United States would not have been helpful to you.
I knew what I was going to do. Well, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I had to do something. And picked up the newspaper in Germany. I read it because I was proficient at that time in German language. And it says vehicle operator. So I applied for it, and I was a vehicle operator for that on the April's Fools, 1993.
1st of April.
1st of April, 1993.
Okay.
My first civilian job. My first job at all. I never worked in the States.
Wow.
Never had a job in the States. Went from high school to military. That was it.
That's awesome.
I never paid Social Security. Never worked.
Okay. Well, on that, do you receive those benefits? I don't think you do you?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Because of the Army.
Military compensation, disability compensation, and Social Security for unable to work.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so-
your time in the service would have been
Yes.
okay. That was a dumb question.
And German Social Security also, which is very limited. They don't have very much.
Wow. In a nutshell, what would you like anybody out there, your family, to remember about your time in the service?
Well, that's a question that I'm not really prepared to answer right now because I haven't thought about it.
Okay.
So I couldn't really give you a good answer. So I
That's
better
o-
not give you any answer because I couldn't give you a good answer.
I appreciate that 100%.
Okay.
Let's see. What's the next one? Anything else you want to cover?
Possibly.
Sure. What's up?
I understand now more that I've been back a couple of weeks now. The VA system, as far as healthcare and stuff like that,
Right.
going down what they call. I'm even starting to use the words primary care provider, and LC provider, local community provider.
Right.
So, I think that the regulation of the books of the VA is a little bit convoluted. So understanding the first person you get, once you get from point A to point B and point C, there's no clear, understandable way. It's always so complicated, the VA
Right.
system. I'm as in my educational level, I feel myself pretty confident what I can understand and comprehend. But it's really difficult to comprehend how the VA system is set up.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to understand it, but I'm starting to control it a little bit.
Well, hopefully, after the interview, we can sit down.
Okay.
We can continue to sit down. That as a veteran service officer, maybe I can help.
Okay.
Maybe Sean can help. You know, Derek, I'm not beyond asking for help and saying,
Okay.
hey, we've
Yeah,
got this question.
I've
So,
been asking help every day from my sister and brother support,
Yeah.
support groups. They make fun of me. Like I'll talk to my wife in Germany, and then I'll turn to them and talk to them in German. My sister's going to hit me on the head. She say, "We're Americans here, okay?" I was like, I can't turn it off and turn it on.
Yeah, it's gotta be
difficult.
hard.
It's hard. It's hard after 33 years.
Yeah, I could only imagine. I mean, think I'm 33 years old. The only language I know is English. So
Yeah.
I would have trouble learning a different language of this, or even using a different language if I knew it.
English is German is basically the same. They got the same letters.
Yeah,
Some of the enunciations are the same
Mm-hmm.
when you speak it out, but you have to learn how we use the E at the end of a word, like I before E except after C and some of
Yeah.
those things. And they've got the umlauts. They got little dots over the
Yeah.
words. You have to think about that's not a U, that's a O. Or that's, once you master that, it's okay. You just spit it out.
well,
And if you spit out faster, they'll understand you.
I'm sure I would not be understood at this point.
Every GI that goes to Germany doesn't know how to speak German until after the third beer. So after the
Okay.
third beer, they speak perfect German. They just start blah, 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 and then it goes out there. Okay.
That's awesome.
I'm sure Korean too. After the third,
It is, yeah.
Sakiyaki there, they blah, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Loved it there. So, final question. What do you want the civilian population to know about veterans?
We're here for you. We like to be appreciated. We take care of our job, and we want people to appreciate what we do for them.
Amen. Amen. So that's all I got.
Thank you very much, sir.
Gary, thank you for coming in. I really, you know how much I appreciate it.
Yes,
so.
yes.
We
I enjoyed doing it. I
Good.
loved it.
All right, let me shut everything down. And
Shut
then-
down. Cut. Yeah.